You may find that you'll get used to it. Letting people know how much you love them will become a regular part of your life. It probably won't shock you to know that if it does, you'll probably begin receiving more love as a result. I just wanted to share a few things with you about Corey. And just let you know the last time I was asked to speak at a funeral, I blubbered my way through it. It'll probably be the same. But even as a little boy, Corey was extremely sensitive and caring. And I always thought he had such a tender heart. Once, or a couple of times, that really come to my mind was we were playing in the backyard and a little bird that we had died. Corey ran into the house and laid down on the floor and cried for 20 or 30 minutes over the death of that little bird. Another time, we accidentally ran over his pet baby kitten that he had adopted only 3 days before. And his brother and I kidded him, and we didn't think anything of it, but it about crushed his little heart. And I've always thought since that time that his heart was tender and sensitive to things that a lot of us don't even take second thought about. And I'm proud to say that he grew up that way too. He loved people. His mom and I used to get frustrated with him in school because he was so hard to keep his concentration on school, on his schoolwork, and to do that thing. And we often kidded that he was only there to socialize. That was his most fun thing, is to go and play with other kids and meet new people. And he did that even today, even in his life in the past few years, that I've noticed that he has continued with that same kind of heartfelt desire to be around people and to love people and to show a tender, caring spirit toward others, especially those who are hurting. Veronica shared with me the other night about how he ministered to their daughter. And it meant so much to hear that. And so many of you have told me about things that he's done that have touched you deeply. And I'm not surprised, but it sure is good to hear it. July 20th, 1975, Corey came into this world. His brother came over a year before him, and he came in the usual way. And we loved him, and it changed our lives because we had a brand new baby in our house, and we became 3. And when Corey was conceived, he was in a hurry. He couldn't wait to get here. He came 3 months early. And I mean 3 months early. Everything hadn't developed like it should have. I mean, like it would have if he had stayed in the womb for another 3 months. So he lived in an incubator for that time. But when he first came, I could hold him in the palm of my hand. His little feet came to just below my wrist, and his head was like that. It was up on the top of my fingertips. And I didn't see how he could live. I didn't see how anything that small could live. And I begged God to let him live, because they warned us that he might not, that everything hadn't developed fully yet. But he fought, and he kept on fighting for all that 3 months while he was in the incubator, and they finally let us take him home. And as you can see, well, and the doctors also told us that he might have growth problems, I think, and learning disabilities were a possibility, and they might have health issues. As you can see from the pictures you saw, he grew up. He did okay. But I also wanted you to know more about Corey because he's made me so proud. And I've told him before that I'm so proud of him, that he grew up to be such a fine man. He was such a good guy. He was so talented. He didn't think anything was too big for his abilities. He took on any challenge. Sometimes it got in over his head. But he wasn't afraid to tackle anything. And he knew that if he researched it enough or if he did enough work, he was going to get through it and he was going to make it. I'm just being around his house lately. It's been a couple of years since I've been there, since we moved away. But he had started work on a dining room table. And friends, I want you to know, it is a masterpiece. It's a work of art that he started. Unfortunately, he didn't finish it. But the craftsmanship in it was just remarkable. And that's just one thing. He could do anything he set his mind to. He loved machinery. He loved to work on things that would scare most of us off. But he was that kind of person. And I'm proud to say that he grew up to be a fine guy and he loved his family. And right now, I want to say this, and you'll pardon me if it gets real personal. But to Cindy, my wife of 37 years and Corey's mother, I love you. You're number one that I'm going to say thank you to and that I love you. Because you brought these boys into my life and they meant so much to me and they still do. I regret not telling Corey that I loved him last week. But I'm not going to forget to say that I love you, my wife. And Scott, I love you. And I am so proud of the man you've become. And Jill and Abby and Allie, I love you too. And I don't ever want you to forget that your grandfather means it when he says, I love you, and I'll always be there for you. And Jill too. So thank you for putting up with me for a few moments.
Just in case. As Corey's wife, I want to personally thank you all for being here with our family to help remember and celebrate Corey's life. It was very important to me that I stand up here today to share with you who Corey was to me, our love story, and to tell you about the beauty of our life together. I loved and still love Corey more than words can say. He was an amazing man, and I've been proud to be his wife. I've known Corey for more than half my life now. We met in Vermont through our church youth group. I was 14 and he was 15. It didn't take long before we developed feelings for each other. I remember our first date and our first kiss. We enjoyed hiking together. We'd often hike mountains.